Um, well, about 3 weeks, almost 3 weeks ago, when I took the Anagarika vows here, I wrote Venerable Children a letter to express my gratitude and also to request help, because this is a year of training. And through the 2 months of retreat, I had identified particular things that I would like to work on, or I'm in the process of working on, and expect that I will probably be bumping up against for the rest of the year. And whilst I'm quite certain that that will be aware as that happens, I also wanted to formally acknowledge that and ask for her guidance when those things pop up. So after that, Venerable requested that I talk about that, because I kind of wrote it in a prose form, and just to open up discussion about the ideas or the aspirations that I had made, as I might not be the only one working on them. So this is kind of a bit of where I'm at, what I'm aiming for, and a bit of the process about how I'm getting there. And it's been particularly nice because in the past few days or the past week, the main idea has kind of popped up in different areas of people different speaking about that too. So the first is just, may I be joyful. And in the last 5 or 6 years, I've just really identified that that's one of my main practices, is just, may I be joyful. Because I had recognized that for a big period from about 11 till early 20s, I just used to go into this dark state that I could just not pull myself out of. And the phrase sucking the life out of others just came up because I could see that when I was in that state, the energy would just drain from people around me. And I couldn't pull myself out of it, even though I could see it happening. And it was just horrible. So that's just been something that I've been really working on for quite a few years now. And one of my teachers in New Zealand, I'd go to him and talk in various times, and I'd always leave, and he'd say, always happy, always happy. And it was like this mantra that he'd given me. And at first it was just like, how? But it's a decision, actually. That there's a decision, even if not in that moment, it doesn't happen. But if you go, okay, that's what I want to do, then at some point it just occurs. And so the rest of the aspirations kind of follow on from that in terms of how am I going to be joyful. So the second one is, may I rejoice in good fortune and opportunities of others, not relating it back to what I don't have. And that's just been a real big source of unhappiness, is the jealousy that arises so easily in me. Looking at the smallest good quality or opportunity in someone else that I don't have, and I just plummet. And so it's been, particularly in retreat, just being able to catch it in the smallest instance and being able to identify that as, you are my source of unhappiness. I don't want you. But a big key that came up was when Venerable was teaching. Jealousy came up a bit during retreat and in her teachings, and saying that it's actually wanting to destroy the happiness of others. And I hadn't realized that. I just thought, no, I want that too, but it's actually, no, I want to take it from you and it's mine. That's really nasty. And I think one of the things is looking at things as if they're a fixed pie. As if they have, then I can't have, or I don't have, or there's lack in me, when it's not that. There is an abundance. And when you can recognize that abundance, then the joy comes. And you can rejoice in what other people have. Then the next two are kind of related. So may I be transparent, not caught up in concern for praise or reputation. And may I relax into the space where I am without the need to fill it with an identity. So I think part of the jealousy as well, and a detriment to joy, is this insecurity of just looking outside yourself for affirmation, a source of self-worth. And so then trying to prove yourself, and if I do this, then maybe I'll be good enough. So then relying on your reputation for how you identify yourself. And then also the identities that you've taken a hold of throughout your life, whether they come from yourself or from others. And then how easily they pop up, because there was an instance when in the first month of retreat, and me and Christina were asked to make bread. That's great. So we go into the kitchen, and I've worked in the kitchen before, and boom, it's like this other person just rose up. I was like, all right, I've got this under control. I'm going to do it the most efficient I can. It's going to be great. And it wasn't horrible, but it was a barrier to me actually connecting with this other person who was working with me. And I could have enjoyed it a whole lot more and connected a whole lot more than I did. And I apologized to her at the end. And she said, "Oh, it's okay," but she had noticed as well. So it's yeah. May I cultivate confidence in my own wisdom, not looking for Buddhahood outside the potential of my own mind. And that one really comes from the Wisdom Going Beyond sutra that we recite every week at the Abbey. And the first time we all chanted that, it was just like boom. It's so short, and every line is so meaningful, and it just gives me great delight to recite that each week. And I think that particularly relates to the doubt that can come into my mind about even the smallest things and this again comes back to looking outside myself of just what's the right thing to do. And I've been immobilized at various points, just not knowing because I'm not looking or listening to myself about what I know is right for me. And it's not, because many things, there's not this one path. You got to kind of figure out for yourself using the Dharma, using the teachings, but you have to apply it to yourself in a personal way. And the next is, may I exchange myself for others, seeing the self-centered for the foe that it is. And that really came up in the silence of retreat, especially by giving lots of teachings on Tonlein. As just when I'm spinning out around just stuff about me, it's my main source of unhappiness. And there's a verse that I recite each day as well, that if I can actually engage with that in the morning, it helps. Of this chronic disease of cherishing myself is the cause giving rise to my unsought suffering. Perceiving this, may I blame, begrudge, and destroy the monstrous demon of self-centeredness. And I just love the imagery of that, of just the force that you have to do that with, because it's so insidious when it comes up. Because I can think I'm thinking about being helpful or doing this role or doing this thing that's not just about me, but really it's about the self-concern about how am I looking when I'm doing this, or if I do this, are they going to like me, and it comes into the meditation hall and takes up the entire session. May I only say what is true and helpful. And that really came from in the section about a year ago when Venerable was teaching from Precious Garland, and the definition of what truth is. It's not just the facts, it's whether it actually helps someone. It's your motivation when you say it. But the word helpful really stuck with me, because there's idle talk as well, but it's just like, is what I'm saying actually benefiting? And I guess in the space, not just in retreat, because we weren't speaking, but in the Abbey there's space of where you kind of hear your words fall, and then afterwards there's space to kind of say, how do I feel about what came out? And it's not necessarily that it was detrimental, but is it entirely truthful? Is that how I want to relate? Is that a good reflection of what I'm feeling? And I think the patterns of speech that I've had, I'm not always happy with how it's come out. May I cultivate equanimity in the face of hardship, my gaze firmly set beyond the fleeting pleasures of this life. Kind of, when I'm preparing this, kind of laughed at the use of the word hardship, because I don't, compared to a lot of people in the world, I don't particularly have a lot of hardship, but when things do arise, they sure feel quite hard. And I think it's just, this one's coming back to, my goal in life is not to be comfortable. It's to practice. but it's in the middle of being really uncomfortable. It's hard to remember that. It's kind of just like hitting up against, well, I don't want this, and just this pushing away that I do, and it's not very helpful. May I treasure my precepts as a precious tool to work with my mind, however uncomfortable that may be. Before coming to the Abbey, I'd been taking the 8 Mahayana precepts in chunks for a year and a half. And towards the end, I hit a point where I kind of lost the essence of why I was doing it, because I wasn't waking up every day and saying and reciting the prayer that we do to take it, and working full time and being in different social situations, and I was just bumping up against, if I can't do this or I can't do that, or I'm hungry or I'm tired, and I was just fighting against things that I couldn't do, and not really remembering the purpose of generating compassion for myself and others, and training my mind. So how do we break? And so before coming here, and also before taking the Anagarika precepts, I realized, like, I need to get to terms with why I'm doing this, and find ways to remind myself of that, so that I don't get to that place of losing the essence again. May I accept what is and not fight against my own self-created karmic bubble. And this relates to my planning mind of wanting to be 12 steps ahead of where I am, and saying, why aren't I there now? And it's because I haven't created the cause, and I haven't created the conditions. And actually, if I can stop and bring it back, there's beauty in where I am. And there's not that there's like an external being that's got lessons for me to learn, but there's a lot that I can learn if I can bring it back and relax and be happy and just make of it what I can. So the last again is just, may I be joyful. And this is an ongoing practice, and it's just can be such a deep sense of